Have you ever gone through something that changed you a ton? Maybe it was going to the gym and changing from fat to fit, or skinny to fit, or getting a new job position that you started making a lot of money. Anything like that, to where you feel like your whole life kind of changed, and you feel like the people around you see you differently, but you still see yourself as the same person. Well, that's called identity lag. I learned about this recently, and basically it is that your self-perception, or your perception of yourself, is lagging behind what the world sees of you, because in your head you're still the same person, but even though you made all these drastic changes in your life, you still see yourself as that same person, even though you are different. Maybe you've improved, especially if you watch videos like this, you do self-improvement type stuff. And if you are interested in the social skills videos, maybe you've changed a lot socially, and people see you as a different person than you see yourself as. But within 1 to 2 years, because it's according to Mark Manson, who's an author on self-improvement books and stuff, but and within 1 to 2 years, your identity catches up to what other people see. So if you've gone through any of these changes, whether it's physically, mentally, or just like improving yourself in one area, you still have the same fears, same doubts, same habits as you did before, because you haven't fully caught up to yourself yet. Maybe you felt awkward socially, but you actually improved on it and you got a lot better. In your head, you might still be scared of social situations because you haven't had too many. So these social situations, once you get in there, you perform well, you talk well, but you're still scared of it because it hasn't fully caught up to you yet. You haven't realized how good you are yet. But other people will see like, oh, he's actually improved a lot, and they'll know you as someone who is social. Same with the gym. If you were super skinny or super fat, and then you got fit, in your head, you might still be that skinny person or fat person. I went through this. I was 120 pounds when I first started working out, and then I bulked up to 200 pounds. Whenever I was at 200 pounds, I still felt like the skinny kid. I still felt super skinny, even though I was actually kind of fat. I was on the fatter side. But in my head, I was the skinny guy still. And people go through this, and you had to wait for it to catch up. It's so weird. The outer world sees you as someone different than you see yourself as, and you gotta wait for it to catch up. It'll take time for your inner world to catch up to the outer world. And like I said, probably about a year or two. If you think back to ancestral times, like whenever there was like, over the majority of the time, you can think about recently, like before the internet, where it was kind of just, you know, your own city, your school maybe, your job. The only people you knew were people who lived in the same city, maybe the same state as you, and maybe a few people outside of it, because like maybe you travel or something and met a couple people. But now there's social media, and your status can blow up like crazy. You could know people across the world. Same with video games. You might have friends in different countries, different states, because you met them through a game. And doing that, it can raise your stat, especially through social media. You'll know a lot of people, and it can go from being you can go from being a nobody to being somebody who has a ton of followers. So you might be, maybe you randomly get 100,000 followers. You would still see yourself as the guy who was like nobody, but the world would see you as like, this guy's got 100,000 followers. He's got a lot of status. It takes time for you to realize like, oh, I am that guy with status. It wouldn't just be like a flip of the switch and you'd be like, you wouldn't realize you're a new person. And if you go back even further to like far back ancestors, whenever it was like you lived in a fucking village, you only the people in your village, you could be the bottom of the barrel in the village. You could be the lowest of the low. And then you could end up becoming the guy who's at the top, like the village chief. And it would be a very small change compared to what you can go through now. So in all areas too, socially, you could just know all the people in the village. And then socially now, you could know everybody in your city, you can know everybody in other countries, you can know people everywhere. So socially, it can be a huge change. And then if you changed physically, not as many people would notice. So it's a big shock to the brain now. It's a huge difference compared to back then. So if you think about that, it makes sense why we aren't conditioned to change that quickly, because especially status-wise, because you can know so many people now, and it'll really change. So just know if you did something recently, maybe you got a new promotion, or you started a business and the business became really successful, or you you've been improving your social skills, you're better socially, or maybe you even got out of a long relationship. You were in a long relationship and now you're single. It's not gonna fully feel like you until you've given it enough time for your identity to catch up, because you got to get over this identity lag. It's really interesting thing. I figured I'd talk about it. But yeah, if you're interested in the content, please subscribe. I make self-improvement videos, things similar to this sometimes. But if you are interested in this, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And besides that, if you got any goals, go make it happen. And I'll see you in the next one.